This is the video where if you scream more in Japanese, you win. The whole point is that you just talk in Japanese as loud as you can, and you win. So volume warning. Okay, so Daikaiser! Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today we are back to talk about Daikaiser. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be monotone for the rest of this video. For those of you wondering, I have to put a disclaimer out here first. There is a Daiyusha version of this deck. Yeah, so again, I'm very sorry for those of you who were wondering, will I do the Daiyusha version of this video? No, this is not the video for you. If you want a Daiyusha deck profile for this set, I can if enough people comment and ask for it, and I probably will. It's strange that despite both cards being in the same deck, the ratio of which you play either and how the whole deck is played consequentially completely changes the second you decide to play a different right line over the other. So this video, just for everyone's knowledge, is a Daikaiser based video. It's not a Daiyusha video, okay? So my apologies. Now, Daikaiser is the surprise drop of DZBT09 and the card that made everyone go, Thing Saver? Brawlers? But no, today we're just going to do, Daikaiser. And because Daikaiser hints that, certain grade 3 bosses will get a Legion-based support, it is kind of funny that we live in an age where both the King of Knights Alfred and Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion are in standard. So, will we get Legion support for them? Frankly, I'm not sure if I ever want Legion support at this point. So, let's talk about why Legion's big return to Card 5 Vanguard in the year of our Lord 2025, may not be exactly as good as people say it is, and how we can build this deck kind of in the best way possible. I know most people competitively choose the Daiyusha variant because the Daiyusha variant has better numbers, has a better matchup against Balsagra, and generally can do things differently. But Daikaiser is so iconic of a boss with, he is linked to Vanguard's biggest content creator. So a lot of people do love this deck, really. And he does come with a very endearing enemy character who just scream in Japanese, he goes win. So we are gonna do that too, okay? So that's right. And of course, because I may go monotone for the rest of this video today, we also have Fate of Off.
I love Christopher Fight.
Right. Okay. You should meet M Crafter. M Crafter gave him a lot of money for Christmas. Alright, so let's talk about the right deck. I'll do the right deck because actually I'm very interested in this right deck. So the grade 0 is Core Kaiser. Now, I know what most of you are wondering. Who the hell is Core Kaiser? And frankly, I don't know. They just dropped this guy as like.
He's the guy.
He's the guy in Daikaiser, but we've never seen this before. He's just a grayed out version with the blue heart, which eventually does become the core. But even Miltai was wondering who this guy was. I thought it was really funny. If you guys watch the Ultimate Tiga movie, it's a lot like that. He starts off black and he gains his colors. It's kind of funny. But basically, he's just a starter that just, he's a typical D3 starter. Core Kaiser does matter, right? For Kaizad, if I'm not mistaken. So
no, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't matter?
It only matters for Daikaiser.
So why can't I just play Goryusha then?
Because you need it for Daikaiser himself. Daikaiser himself needs to eject the pilot, yeah.
He's not the pilot, he's the guy. That's like shooting out your skeleton.
You have to shoot out the core, yeah.
So, do you shoot out your skeleton for an additional effect? Let me know. Okay, so our grade 1 is not Daikaiser. This is Kaiser Grader.
Yes.
So he's a little robot guy that moves around. So when placed on Vanguard Circle, you can just scan your deck for a base and add it to your hand. So again, this is not a B hero deck profile. I won't be doing B heroes. Unless heavily requested. The base is exactly the same as Daiyusha's base. In fact, it's the same card, it's just a reprint. So I also won't really be covering this. Links in the description below for the previous Daiyusha video. Because I think if you want to play Daikaiser, you really need to know Daiyusha. After all, he is half of the wing con. So you do need to get to know this guy. So yeah, the base is exactly the same. Hell, even the right line is almost exactly the same. Thank you. When we get to Kaiser Grader.
No, this is Kaiser.
Kaiser is the fun one from Vanguard 0 plus 5. So Kaiser, sorry.
Yeah.
He has an X skill, which is if your opponent's Vanguard is greater or greater, you choose a card from your hand, discard it, choose a super dimensional robo, Daikaiser, and you just write it. And then for the rest of the turn,
you can only write Daikaiser.
You can only write. Sorry?
No, you can only write.
You can only write dimensional robo. That's what I said.
Yeah, you can only write Dimensional Robo, yes.
Yeah. So okay, that's pretty alright. Where'd he go? He is better than Bowman, lol, haha. But he's exactly the same as Dragon. But sorta for the right skill, but the second skill he differs, which is when a unit with Daikaiser is placed on the Vanguard circle while he is in the soul. When the Daikaiser unit rides on top of him, yeah, you just use a shiny one. You can con to the Vanguard circle. So wrong guy. So okay, I mean it's not too bad. Like it's not really a -1. If you discard a card, you call it back, right? So it's a lot like Dai Dragon. And then of course the last part of his skill is that if you have a
Dimensional Robo.
no.
So Super Dimensional Robo.
No.
Oh yeah.
Daikaiser.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it has to be Daikaiser. Then it gets boost.
It gets boost. So Kaiser is a lot more offensive than Dai Dragon, hilariously speaking, because you can call him anywhere and he gains boost. So no matter what part of the board he's a part of, be it an early attacker for grade 2 or a later attacker or later booster, Kaiser will always find a way to crawl back into your board, and it's kind of hilarious to see that. So frankly, I am a fan of Kaiser. I think it's pretty good. He is a must play at a one-off if you're playing Daikaiser, but he is a double red. So yeah. But you know, if you are not playing Daikaiser, you definitely don't need to play him at all. So again, it does depend on which route you do take. Our grade 3 is obviously, I won't say the name, I won't shout, okay? I won't be a nuisance to my neighbors, it's 1 AM. So Daikaiser has 2 skills, kinda, but he does have secret skills. So first and foremost is D-Legion. Now the reason why the keyword is called D-Legion is because if it's Legion, it has a different set of rulings. So they are using a new keyword they call D-Legion. It's basically the same as Legion.
Yeah, even the logo
changed, right?
because the logo is the same as now it's white color instead of yellow.
But they also wrote the word D in front.
Yeah.
D-series. Yeah. But the more important reason why they call it D-Legion is because they actually restricted Legion's great part of being Legion, which is when you send triggers back to the deck last time, you can just send 4 triggers back, haha, hee hee, here's all my crits, just like Olivia and Kai. But in D-Legion, you only can send 2 triggers back, and they can't be heal or over triggers. So you can send back any type of triggers except heal or over triggers, and only 2. Then you also need to send back 2 normal units as well. So it kind of equates out, like you get 2 triggers back, but you also have to put 2 normal names back. So you know, you don't really get as much of a deck thinning or deck compressioning. Then you can search your deck for a card of the stated name. The rest is the same as Legion, and then you just put it to the side.
Same on the Vanguard circle.
All the Vanguard circle. So again, it's
so same thing. So they combine. So if this is your first time talking about Legion, so Legion is basically a mechanic from the good old days of Vanguard, right before G era. They added you now have two units on your Vanguard circle.
2014.
Yeah, 2 units on your Vanguard circle. Their power is combined. If your Legion mate has a Vanguard ability, that Vanguard ability also activates because it technically is a Vanguard. Yeah. And when it attacks, you only so the power is together, but the critical is only calculated for the Legion leader. Yes. So even though you have 2 Vanguards, you only count the critical of your Legion leader, not your Legion.
In addition, if you ride on top of Legion, the Legion mate and Legion leader both are added to your soul. Yes. So basically, it's a +1 in soul.
Yes.
This counts when Thing Saver comes out, so I'm buying my insurance early.
Yes.
Okay, so other than that, yeah, you notice he doesn't have a Persona Rare icon for Daikaiser.
Oh yeah, so there's another ruling for D-Legion is that because I think this came up during when the original Overlord came for D series came back in the end came in D era, and then people are asking like, oh, if I Legion with the cross in premium, then I write the end over a Legion DOTX and the end, then does that give me Persona Red? So I think then they wanted to just not have that ruling dispute.
So they don't do it.
So they just said specifically for D-Legion, all cards with Persona Right lose their Persona Right icon as well. Oh. So that means that Daiyusha doesn't have his Persona Right icon anymore once he is in Legion state. And Daikaiser by default doesn't have the Legion icon. So Neck sort of said it is similar to Strike decks that Strike decks don't have Persona Right, but they make up for the fact that they have the G Zone. Then Legion doesn't have the Persona Right, but makes up for the fact that you can put triggers back.
Okay, yeah, that's completely. I wasn't around for that stream, so I probably missed it.
Yeah.
But okay, very cool to know. So that's the long and short of how Legion works. I'll talk about Daiyusha later because he's in the grade 3 segment. Actually, let's just move to the grade 3 segment because I think that's more applicable. So moving on to our grade 3s, we play 1 Daikaiser. This is in the right deck, so this one change. And we play 2 additional Daikaiser in the main deck. Then we play 2 copies of Daiyusha. Again, Robo Daiyusha. Then we play 4 copies of Super Dimensional Robo Shadow Kaiser. but like that's a long stretch for you guys who never watched the Legion mate. So yeah.
So Daikaiser, in essence, is similar to how he worked in Vanguard Zero. I think a lot of this deck is actually very inspired by how the deck worked in Vanguard Zero.
That's great news for
they gave a lot of homage to the fact that the deck used to be like this very consistent killing machine that like if your opponent doesn't have 2 PGs in hand, they just die.
Yay.
But otherwise, but then it loses a lot of steam very fast. So Daikaiser, so after his D-Legion effect, he has a once per turn auto ability is that when this unit attacks, and this unit attacks unboosted. And it doesn't need to be Legion state. It can just be him solo, him attacking, but also it can be Legion state.
Okay.
You energy blast 3, and you give this unit the ability that at the beginning of the damage stat, you choose one of your opponent's guardians on the guardian circle that they have put down, and you retire it. So essentially, if a guardian is retired, that means that the shield is no longer counted.
Because he's dead.
Yeah, so it's dead. So the shield is no longer counted, which means that stuff like your defensing raw, if you targeted something with defensing raw, it will be retired, and then you don't get the extra shield.
Right.
But otherwise, the guardian is just regularly retired, and then the shield doesn't count. Then, so then he gets that whole red text.
Okay.
And then that's basically it. So he gets that for one battle only, and it's a once per turn. It's a soft once per turn, so you can't pay the cost again.
And it's also at the beginning of the battle that he attacks.
Yes.
So you can't attack, the guy guards, then you pay the skill.
Yes.
That's called cheating. Yes. That's not allowed.
Yeah. So you have to declare as soon as he attacks that you're going to use the energy blast 3, and then after that you tell him that okay, so this is how the skill is going to work. And at the exact same timing, so when he attacks, and after you pay the energy blast 3, you may take a Core Kaiser from your soul and put it into your bind zone if you don't already have a Core Kaiser in your bind zone. So you bind it, and
the skill changes.
It gains and one more red text that at the beginning, that when that card that you retired from the Guardian Circle leaves the Guardian Circle, you may also choose one cannot be hit ability and knife fight.
Which sounds weird on paper. You may be asking yourself, guys, what the hell is he talking about? He's referring to perfect guards, right? And specifically perfect guards, not sanctitude, perfect guards. So the idea is that when you throw a perfect guard on the Guardian Circle, right, when the opponent guards with it, he chooses a card from his hand, discards it, and then he chooses one of his units. It cannot be hit at the end of the battle. So even if you retire the perfect guard, the cannot be hit effect is still online. So basically, it doesn't matter. But with Core Kaiser's removal, if you shoot a skeleton out of your body, you can cancel not just the perfect guard itself, but even the lingering effect of cannot be hit, which basically means you negate the perfect guard. So again, this is a very important discretion because you only have one skeleton, right? Jesus only gave you one skeleton when you're born. So if you miss time when you shoot Core Kaiser out of yourself, which again still sounds very weird, the guy can just be aware because it's a telegraph movement and either save sanctitude or just guard it differently. So that is a bit of the, I want to say, skill check of this deck. It is a bit difficult. You do need to be aware of this interaction, but if you can time when you use Core Kaiser, you will win. It actually is game ending of a skill right there. But if you trigger this too early or too late, you're dead. So again, if you're playing Daikaiser, this is definitely the bread and butter of it. You do need to know how and when to trigger it. I want to say most Daikaiser players know this already, but I'm pretty sure there's at least 1 to 2 people watching this video who have no idea. So again,
oh yeah, then there's one more thing I forgot to mention is that the energy blast 3 skill, he cannot retire the overtrigger.
What?
So you can if you just guard with the OT, right, he cannot retire the overtrigger.
Why is that?
He's not allowed to retire the overtrigger.
Wait, according to who?
The skill. He said he can't retire the OT. He said he can choose anything on the Guardian Circle that is not the overtrigger and retire it.
Is it seriously what it? Wait, okay.
Yeah, see the icons right there.
Wait.
The OT icons right there. He can't retire the OT.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so actually hugging the OT and sanctitude. So actually it's very.
It's a good idea actually.
Yeah. So actually it's very similar to like fighting like Chrono Jet or fighting what is it
Blanimire?
Yeah, Blanimire in a sense where like hugging the OT against Dimensional Robo actually is a good idea, no. Which is also the reason why playing the Daiyusha right line has its benefits, because the opponent has no idea whether you're gonna go to Daikaiser anymore.
Yep.
So unless that's why playing the Daikaiser right line is very telegraphed. So your opponent's like, okay, if I see the OT, I better keep it in my hand so at least I can block it.
Right.
But if you're playing the Daiyusha right line, it's like, what's the worst you can do? Then you turn 5 Daikaiser, him is like, what?
But then again, the strengths and weakness of the deck change, right?
Yes.
So if you do that, you do lose out on like a larger Vanguard, etc.
I think for this current meta, I think Daikaiser is slightly feels more smooth to play as compared to Daiyusha. Playing Daiyusha normally, because Daiyusha normally has absolutely zero hand size and it has very very low high roll, versus Daikaiser which has much better. It's slightly better high roll with the compression and the big Vanguard swing that your opponent cannot guard.
Okay, so since we already talked about Daiyusha, why not you tell us what it does?
Okay, so if you guys haven't watched the video that Ahmed and I did before, which is the
original Daiyusha
two original Daiyusha videos, which is Daiyusha is actually I'll just show the new one.
You should tell them also there's a errata.
Yeah, so the new one actually has an errata. So I'll just go over the errata skill when I talk about skill. Is that when he attacks, counter blast 1. When he attacks, counter blast 1, draw 1, and if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you choose any number of different named Dimensional Robo units on your field and give them plus 5,000 power until end of the turn, which includes your 2 Vanguards. So when your Legion Vanguard attacks, you have 2 Vanguards on the field. Daiyusha activates its ability because it technically is attacking at the same time as Daikaiser, because they're Legion leader, Legion mate. They activate Daiyusha's effect. It sees that you have 2 Dimensional Robo units on the Vanguard circle, so you can give both of them 10k. And since the power is combined, that means that essentially your Vanguard is getting 10k for the price of 1 counter blast.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is very, 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 very strong. Plus, you also get the draw 1, so draw one never hurts. And his second ability is still honestly what makes Daikaiser so threatening, as well as Daiyusha. Why is so threatening is that at the end of the battle he attacks once per turn. So the first ability is also once per turn. The second ability, so once per turn, at the end of the battle that he attacks, or since it's in Legion, so technically the Vanguard skill also activates. So you put 1 card from your hand to your soul, and you choose all of your Vanguards as stand it, and all of your Vanguards lose 2 drives. So the reason why they had to errata is because
you said this unit.
The original Daiyusha said this unit minus 2 drive. So this is the same problem as DOTX, where when they give something that says this unit uses minus 2 drive,
you can just say that
your Legion mate counts as a unit, which means you can just minus 2 drive the Legion mate, and since only the drive checks for the Legion leader counts, then that is what you go with. It means that you can do twin drive into twin drive.
Which is quite interesting.
Yeah, which is why they had to nerf it, and then they had to make it so that he cannot give the twin drive on the restand anymore.
But then again, that's as intended. So
it's an actual unintended interaction. Yeah. So unlike something that we
Alright, so we'll move on then to our last grade 3.
Shadow Kaiser. So Shadow Kaiser is sort of okay. Honestly, the more I look at Shadow Kaiser, the more it's like they are prepping to see if this design space is gonna work for future Legion decks, because the first effect is act ability drop zone. If your Vanguard is a Daikaiser, you may bind it from the drop zone. You may bind. If you may you may Soul Blast 1 bind this unit, and then you search your deck for any unit named Daikaiser, and then write it as stand. So you may be thinking like, why would I write over my Vanguard in the main phase to like what is the benefit of that? But Legion is once per unit. Right. So Legion is an ability that is once per unit, and remember what we said before is that when you write over a unit that is already in Legion state, all of the units that were on your Vanguard circle in Legion go into the soul, which means that you then that means that since it is a new unit on the Vanguard circle, you can re-Legion again.
On a different turn.
Yeah, on a different turn you can re-Legion.
Yeah, because you can't trigger 2 Legions per turn.
Yes,
that's unfair.
Correct. Yeah, so actually Shadow Kaiser mainly is just there because there are some games that you really need to put your triggers back into the deck, or you need to put your freezing wave or your perfect guard back into the deck, otherwise you're gonna lose. So that also gives you like a way to put your pieces back, and also is it also finds your way to activate any abilities that happen when your Vanguard is placed on Vanguard Circle. So that's foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. But other than that, Shadow Kaiser is just if the continuous is that if you have 3 or more if you have a base in your order zone, it gets 5k. If you have 3 or more base, it gets 10.
And if your Vanguard is Daikaiser.
Yeah, your Vanguard needs to be Daikaiser as well. Then
so you can't use that on the Daiyusha turn.
Yeah, then his this last ability, the auto effect, is actually very, very generic. Is that for all Dimensional Robo is that when this guy, when your Vanguard, when your Dimensional Robo Vanguard is attacked, no matter what the name is, it can be anything. It can be Kaiser, it can be
Dailady,
it can be Kaiser Grader, it can be Kaiser Grader. No matter who it is, you put this guy in your drop, either from your Vanguard Circle or your hand, and then you choose the attack unit and it gets 10,000 power until the end of the battle.
So basically it's 10,000 shield.
Yeah, it just counts as 10k shield.
That's pretty neat.
As for both Vanguard Circle and in your hand.
I think it's very thematic for Shadow Kaiser. Like he just pops out of nowhere and be like, I'm stopping the attack, and he's like he just jump scares people.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool.
It is really
the fact
cool.
that it counts as in the fact that in a deck that is forced to play a lot of grade 3s. Historically has been forced to play a lot of grade 3s.
Him being
the
defensive
main grade 3 gives 10k shield. I think it's quite cool.
So honestly, Shadow Kaiser, huge win in my book. I love this guy a lot.
Yes.
Congratulations, Shadow Kaiser. In case I wasn't clear also, you need to play this in Daiyusha. If you're playing the pure Daiyusha deck, you should be playing this as well. So Daiwing, bye bye. Right? No more Daiwing, right?
I don't know, but honestly, Daikaiser is
Okay, great tools. Kaiser, Dailady, Twin Cast, Yawn, Diebolt. Sorry, Directing. 2 freezing.
So this is the standard Blitz order lineup. I think it hasn't changed from the Daiyusha deck profile because Dreamcast is just insane. It's still insane in
this deck.
Any set or in any Brandt Gate deck because you filter the deck so fast. You're eventually going to see into your Blitz. You filter so much that it's not Blitz orders that the fact that if you have any draw power in the deck, you will draw into your Blitz order.
For sure.
So either you get a almost perfect guard level of shield, or you get one of the strongest defensive Regardless piece that we have.
Yep.
And also because this deck doesn't have any energy left, so you can't play Unite the Sky. And you can't play the Leonon Regardless piece. Yeah.
All true.
Yeah. So we'll go over Dailady first. So Dailady, I hope you bought your copies before. I hope you bought your copies before Daikaiser got reviewed, because it's actually very expensive. I think I bought like 1 extra copy for it. Like I remember when she was like 80 cents, and like I picked some people like begging me to buy her, and then all of a sudden she's $10.
I know she's at least 1k 500 yen now.
Yeah, so Dailady is it's the bread and butter of any Dimensional Robo deck because her skill really is just on place. If your Vanguard is a Dimensional Robo, you color blast one, search your deck for the base, add it to hand. Yeah, shuffle your deck. And also that when she attacks, she gets 10k.
Cool.
Yeah. If your opponent is grade 3. And your opponent is grade 3, you just
if your opponent is greater, greater, you have 2 or more base.
Yeah, just need 2 or more base, which the right line searches out one, and then she searches out the other one, so yeah.
There you go, perfect.
Yeah, so it's pretty good.
Okay. And Kaiser we already covered already, so
yeah. So now we have
Diebolt.
the only I think this is the only like new support that we're running from the whole wave of that's not Shadow Kaiser, which is Directing. So Directing is the in archetype replacement for Balderid, but it's not as good as Balderid because he is sort of his search ability is a lot more limited.
Diebolt.
Is that so when he's placed, if your Vanguard is
you want to read that again, buddy?
Does he need? Yeah, your Vanguard needs to be a Dimensional Robo.
Yes. Robo, yeah.
Then you look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater Dimensional Robo, or a base card. You review it, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and then if you added a card to your hand for this ability, you put 1 card in your hand also.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's basically like Kashin.
Yeah, so it's very synergy. So yeah, it's very similar to Kashin and Electrinis. And also because it has double synergy with Dimensional Robo specifically, because a lot of your Dimensional Robo parts, especially from the Daiyusha side of the deck, need to go into Soul. Then you can call them out from Soul with the base. Yeah.
And then second skill is that
during your turn,
with Dimensional Robo and Great Shield Greater, this unit gains 5,000 pound, 5,000 shield if you have a base.
Yeah.
So again, why did Platina Hazel not get such a? Maybe it's because of this guy. I don't know, but this is definitely a must play for any Dimensional Robo deck. You definitely pick this up for. So, because it's basically consistency, right? We've seen what Vermilion does with consistency. We've seen Maelstrom, and Maelstrom just got like 4 new cards this week with consistency. And Ezel doesn't have consistency. We see the difference between them. It's night and day. It's very stark.
Yeah. And the fact that he has the 10k shield also. I think it's also
the deck doesn't have
very,
shield, so
very, very good. Because the deck doesn't draw that much. So as many, and it's a searchable 10k shield as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, obviously, we still have Mr. Kaiser Glader.
Yes.
He still stays from just now. So again, I won't be covering it again. The rest of the grade 1s are pretty much all the same. So we can actually skip through this very quickly. We have 4 Glory Maker. 2 Die Battles.
Yes.
4 Perfect Guards.
Yes.
And then we have 2 copies of the new triple rare from DZBTO9.
Yeah.
So I'll cover the rest of them first.
Yeah.
Kaiser Grader, we've already done.
So the maid lady is actually just a tech piece because I couldn't really think about what else I want to add to this deck. So if I think after testing, I think she's gonna probably leave the deck, but I'm just gonna leave her in this deck profile because I think it's a decent option from what I was testing. So her ability is literally exactly the same as Combat Rusher. The first effect is that auto when you place a set order from hand. So it specifically has to be from hand. So no, you cannot cheat this out with your Polexis or your Orfist Regis or anything.
No! Office video links description.
Place set order. You Color Blast in this card in your drop. You Color Blast 1, then you call it to a Regal Circle. That's it. Very, very simple. And the second ability is that if you have a set order.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
If you have a set order, this unit gains intercept, and you can intercept from the back row.
Wonderful.
And if you have 2 or more set orders in your order zone, then she also gets plus 5,000 power.
Right.
So this was because I was expecting a lot of control in this meta, which there is actually quite a lot of control. But Sakura has control, Batman technically has control, Vagilua has control and stuff.
Vagilua is buying, bro.
Yeah. So I mean but because there's a lot of like losing your pieces,
True.
And Dimensional Robo has a lot of issues when you fight a deck that takes away its pieces.
High control,
Yeah. And it doesn't let it recycle the pieces. So I thought having a recyclable 13k booster can actually work in very, very niche scenarios. But the fact of the matter is that honestly, like, she doesn't really come up nearly enough to, and you don't have the Color Blast to really work with her. So you're better off playing either stuff like you can play Mariner, and you can play another copy of Kaiser Grader if you want to.
Just tag in
because the Kaiser Grader gives 10k to your Vanguard as well, which lets you hop over the OT. Which let's say like if your opponent like puts the OT down to guard, then that's a 2 to pass.
Yep.
Yeah.
But don't fret if you like this card. This card is really good in Rotovisor and Eva. Those 2 decks, this girl is doing huge favors for them. So if you play either of those 2, you can pick these up still. The rest of the deck is pretty self-explanatory. Glory Maker we've already covered in the previous video, so I won't cover it again. PGs, we also know we won't cover it again. Die Battles is pretty easy. It's basically just when called by the base effect, your Vanguard changes his crit to 2.
Yeah, but your Vanguard needs to be Daiyusha.
Which is no problem because he is after Legion. So again, all very straightforward.
Yeah, then Glory Maker is because even though Daikaiser says it cannot be boosted, that's just for 1 attack. So the second deck you can just have the Glory Maker. Yeah, then Glory Maker is also the reason why Shadow Kaiser's ability is so important, is because you sometimes really, really need to get Glory Maker back on the field, to have that pressure on the second swing. Because otherwise your second swing is really, really very bad.
Right. Which Shadow Kaiser can set up for you because it just calls a card. Back.
No, it writes a good tree.
Yeah,
because she doesn't care when you write the Vanguard. You just have to write a Vanguard. Great Daiyusha incoming. Soon.
Will you still be alive to do that video by the time it comes out?
I just hope I'm still alive when the Great Daikaiser video happens.
We pray. Okay, Core Kaiser surprise.
Yes, 4 Great Zeros.
Great Zeros. 4 base. We won't cover this base. You guys should already know what it does, but it's still the same as last time, so you still need to play this at a 4 off. There's no real way around it. This is still the main playmaker of this deck. It's still the main way you sell your energy, sell your pieces, and everything is based around this card, so you still need to play it. And we still get to see Daiyusha. For heals, 1 Elder Breath is your other win con. 3 fronts, cause we just want to kill people.
And also the fronts also they are the double for your Vanguard because you technically have 2 units.
Yeah, I didn't notice, so I was fighting Daikaiser and he just pulled the front. He was like, oh, my Vanguard gets 20k. I'm like, are you for real? And then 8 crits cause we want to kill him. Yeah, and that will wrap up the Daikaiser deck profile with Daiyusha inside, but not the Daiyusha deck profile. Honestly, I am still shocked at how decent this deck is. Like, I was really expecting this deck to be a lot worse because most people seem to automatically deviate away to, back to Daiyusha beatdown. But seeing this deck come back in resurgence in some way, shape, or form, it does give me hope that, even Vanguards as intended, even Right Lines as intended, still do have some potential down the line. Especially because, as Fate of Fourth has correctly mentioned, there is a lot of synergy in this deck that still hasn't been tapped yet, and is clearly waiting for future cards, be it Great Daiyusha, Great Daikaiser, so on and so forth. Earth, who knows? Like it is really funny to know that they are future proofing this deck every year, one set at a time, and it's to the point where honestly, if you play Dimensional Robos, you may be playing this until 2050. Like it's not even funny that they can just keep finding people that the artist is willing to draw and be like, okay, let's do it again. Let's tap into a synergy we haven't used yet. And it is shocking because this kind of design space is rare in Vanguard. Most Vanguard decks are just designed around the haha anime girl does anime things. But when you get a deck printed around a 2010 robot, they're like, hold on, we need to think about the support 6 years from now. Which is honestly, Kidani, you're a genius.
I think it's more so that the future proofing is very appreciated. But in the here and now, this deck is, I wish it could be better.
I mean, do we really want a Daikaiser and Metal Bulk meta again now?
I think it's not, but I think that I just feel as though they made it very, very balanced in the sense. Like I wish they made it so that the core Kaiser, you didn't have to, the core Kaiser, you didn't have to like declare it immediately when you attack. It's just when the guy puts down the perfect guard, then it's like, okay, then I use my core Kaiser. It's like those kind of decision making that used to make DP very, very fun.
True.
And now the fact that a lot of the decision making is taken, like it's like a lot of the decision making is not concentrated around one attack rather than the rest, rather than like your whole turn around it. Is like it feels very, very one trick in a sense. Whereas I think they could have made it more unfair, especially with
unfair.
Which is especially with what is in the meta right now. You got Basaga, Infinite Loop. You got you used to have Elder Gleamar, which now has been shot.
He's dead.
You used to have Raziel and Levi Dras, and all these things now that used to be in this meta, that are either used to be or were in the meta or are still in the meta when this guy was revealed and was probably developed. It sort of feels kind of sad that I can't confidently say like, I want to play this guy for fun at locals, and
I don't know, if you compare it to Heart Lulu, we're gonna have a long discussion.
Oh, don't even get me started on Haluru. I don't talk about it.
So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Do you want to shout something Japanese before this ends?
No.
No?
Not today.
Not today. So
not today.
When? 2028?
The great Daiyusha deck profile.
Okay, we'll hold you to that.
Yes.